The morning of May 26, 2025 dawned not with light, but with a deafening roar in Deir al-Balah. Dust and screams filled the air. An Israeli airstrike. It found its mark with devastating precision. Not a military compound, not a militant hideout, according to those who lived there, those who survived. It struck a home, a family home, a place where children once played, where dreams were nurtured, now reduced to a tomb of twisted metal and shattered concrete. The ordinary rhythm of life, irrevocably broken. The silence that followed the blast was heavy, laden with an unspeakable truth, a nightmare realized in the harsh light of day. The target was the home of a local doctor, a healer. His family was inside. 7 of his children, gone, just like that. Their laughter, their futures, extinguished in an instant. 2 more of his children are still missing. Hope dwindles with every passing hour, buried under the debris of what was once their sanctuary. The father himself, the doctor, lies severely injured. 1 surviving child, also grievously wounded, now carries the physical and psychological scars of this horrific event. They were a family like any other, caught in a conflict that shows no mercy, that makes no distinction between combatant and child. Neighbors rushed to the scene. Their accounts paint a picture of chaos and horror. They speak of pulling bodies from the wreckage, small bodies. They say there was no warning, no customary phone call, no roof-knocking missile that sometimes precedes such strikes, just the sudden, violent obliteration of a home and the lives within it. They insist, their voices filled with anger and despair, that this was a residential area, a place where families lived, not where militants operated. Their testimony stands as a stark counterpoint to official narratives that often follow such tragedies in this long and bitter conflict. The devastation is absolute. The impact ripples outwards, beyond the immediate family, shaking the entire community of Deir al-Balah. Each life lost is a wound inflicted on everyone. These were not just statistics, they were known, they were loved. Their absence leaves a void that cannot be filled. The questions hang heavy in the dust-filled air. Why this house? Why these children? In a place already so familiar with loss, this particular tragedy cuts deeper. A fresh gash in a landscape scarred by generations of conflict. A stark reminder of the innocent lives consumed by the flames of war. The mother, also a physician, was not at home. She was where doctors often are in Gaza, at a nearby hospital, tending to the wounded, fighting to save lives. She was immersed in the daily struggle against death and suffering that defines her profession in this besieged strip of land. Then the news arrived, news that would shatter her world, news that no parent should ever have to hear. Her home gone, her children, most of them dead. Witnesses say she collapsed. The weight of such unimaginable loss, simply too much to bear for a healer sworn to preserve life. Her own children, lost while she was trying to save others. Imagine her agony. 7 children, vanished. Their toys will remain untouched. Their beds will remain empty. Their voices, once filling the house with the sounds of life, now silenced forever. 2 more are missing. A sliver of desperate fading hope intertwined with the dread of further confirmation of loss. The father, her husband, fights for his life alongside their 1 surviving child. What future awaits them? How does one even begin to comprehend, to process a tragedy of this magnitude? This isn't just a news story, it's the decimation of a family, a deep personal wound that will bleed for a lifetime. The neighbors, the first responders, they carry their own burdens now. They saw things no one should see. One eyewitness described the scene with hollow eyes, his voice trembling. We heard the explosion. It was massive. We ran. The house, it was just gone. We started digging with our bare hands, screaming their names. He spoke of the dust, the smell of smoke, and something else, something indescribable. He spoke of the children, tiny, lifeless forms pulled from the rubble. These images will haunt them, a testament to the brutal reality of modern warfare when it visits civilian doorsteps. This community, already hardened by years of conflict, is reeling. The loss of so many children from one family, a family dedicated to healing, has sent shockwaves of grief and anger. In Gaza, family is everything. The bonds are strong. An attack on one family is an attack on the fabric of their society. Vigils will be held. Prayers will be offered, but the questions will linger, fueling a deep-seated sense of injustice. How many more? How many more children must pay the ultimate price before this cycle of violence is broken? The grief is palpable, a heavy cloak over Deir al-Balah. The Israeli military has acknowledged its operations in the Deir al-Balah area. A spokesperson stated they are investigating whether civilians were unintentionally harmed. The official line is familiar: operations aim to neutralize threats from Hamas and other militant factions. They assert they do not intentionally target uninvolved civilians. Yet the reality on the ground, as described by those who live and die there, often tells a different, more harrowing story. Neighbors insist there was no military presence, no discernible threat emanating from the doctor's home. The question of proportionality, of due diligence, hangs heavy in the air. This tragedy does not exist in a vacuum. It is the latest horrific chapter in a conflict that has escalated dramatically since late 2024. The toll on the innocent, particularly children, is staggering. According to Gaza's health ministry, more than 4,000 children have been killed in this recent wave of violence. 4,000 young lives snuffed out. Think about that number. Each one a name, a face, a family shattered. Just days before this strike, on May 14th, Israeli airstrikes killed 70 people, among them 22 children. It is a relentless, horrifying pattern. The very places meant to offer sanctuary and healing have not been spared. Recently, Israeli strikes targeted what they described as a Hamas command and control center at a hospital in Khan Yunis. The attack severely damaged the hospital's infrastructure, further crippling an already overwhelmed healthcare system. Doctors, like the parents of the children killed in Deir al-Balah, work under impossible conditions, lacking basic supplies, medicine, and safety. The systematic degradation of healthcare infrastructure only deepens the humanitarian catastrophe unfolding in Gaza, making every life more precarious. Beyond the bombs and bullets, a silent war is also being waged. An Israeli blockade has led to dire shortages of everything: food, water, medicine, fuel. Nearly 500,000 Palestinians face the specter of starvation. Another million struggle daily for their next meal. Charity kitchens, a lifeline for many, have been forced to shut down. The World Health Organization reports severe shortages in treating malnutrition among children. This is the grim backdrop against which these airstrikes occur, compounding the suffering, making every day a battle for survival for ordinary Gazans. The international community has been swift to react, at least with words. UNICEF, the United Nations Children's Fund, condemned the May 26th strike in Deir al-Balah in no uncertain terms. They urged adherence to international humanitarian law. They called for an immediate investigation. Crucially, they demanded steps to prevent further loss of innocent life, emphasizing a fundamental principle: children must never be targets. They are not soldiers. They are not combatants. They are simply children, deserving of protection, deserving of a future. Their calls are a stark reminder of the legal and moral obligations that seem to be repeatedly ignored. Humanitarian agencies on the ground are sounding the alarm, their voices strained with urgency and frustration. They are demanding safe corridors for aid to reach those in desperate need. They are calling for evacuations for the critically injured, for those who cannot receive adequate care within Gaza's shattered medical facilities. French President Emmanuel Macron has publicly condemned the blockade, calling for Gaza's borders to be reopened to humanitarian aid. Even U.S. President Trump, currently on a diplomatic tour of the region, stated he would prioritize the escalating crisis in Gaza in his upcoming meetings with regional leaders. Yet, statements and condemnations have, so far, failed to stop the bloodshed. Meanwhile, the architects of the conflict remain entrenched in their positions. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has vowed the offensive will continue until Hamas is defeated. He has warned of an impending escalation of force in Gaza. On the other side, Hamas recently released an Israeli-American hostage, a move some had hoped might signal a potential pathway to a ceasefire, a glimmer of de-escalation. But such hopes are fragile, easily extinguished by the next explosion, the next round of casualties, the next heartbreaking loss of innocent life in this seemingly endless cycle of violence and retribution. The dust in Deir al-Balah will eventually settle, but the grief and the anger will remain. The 7 children of a doctor's family are gone, their names added to a tragically long list. This latest atrocity must be more than just another headline, another statistic. There must be a genuine, impartial investigation. There must be accountability for any violations of international law from all sides. The world cannot stand idly by. The call for peace, for a lasting solution that respects the rights and dignity of all, grows louder with every life lost. For the children of Gaza, for the children of Israel, that peace cannot come soon enough.